Good evening and welcome to the April 23rd, 2024 Board of Education meeting. Tammy, if you can let the record show that all board members are present this evening. Our Chief Communications Officer, Mr. Stephen Hall, will introduce students from Sequiota Elementary to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Good evening. It is our honor to introduce the students of Sequiota. Please welcome 5th grader Alex Gray. Alex is an outstanding example of a respectful, safe, and responsible learner. She is Sequiota's official morning greeter. She is class president and student council member. Her helpful spirit makes her reliable and dependable while being welcoming to all students. She's accompanied tonight by her principal, Mrs. Abby Hathcock, and her mother, Shannon. Thank you for being with us. If you are a member of the Sequiota school community, would you please stand? And then we might also are able to please stand and join us as we lead our pledge of allegiance whenever you're ready, Alex.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll now continue with honoring excellence for the evening. To begin our recognition, I'd like to introduce you to Central High School senior Alana Hottie. Alana? Alana is one of our outstanding Rhodes Scholars and recently returned from a trip to Washington, D.C., where she represented Missouri at the 62nd Annual U.S. Senate Youth Program and had the opportunity to meet the president. At Central, Alana is involved in student government, Future Business Leaders of America, Key Club, Civics and Constitution Club, robotics, tennis, and band. This evening, we are honoring her for being named Region 10 winner of the Missouri School Board Association Scholarship. She was selected from more than 220 applications in our region. To present the scholarship tonight, we have guests with us from MSBA Regional Executive Committee, Roger Freese and Paula Hubbard. Please come forward at this time.
Good evening. My name is Roger Freese. I'm president of the Region 10 Executive Committee for Missouri School Boards Association, and I'm also a member of the Branson School.
I'm Paula Hubbard. I'm the Region 10 Board of Directors delegate, and although Springfield has its own delegate on the Missouri School Boards Association Board of Directors, you're an important part of Region 10. Thank you so much for your participation and your support of everything we do at MSBA.
And Alana, we just want to say on behalf of Region 10 that we are very impressed with your application, the great things you're doing, and we wish you the best of luck as you compete against winners from
Mandy Prosser was named the recipient of the Outstanding Service of a School Nurse Award. Mandy, would you please come forward? The Association of School Nurses recognizes school nurses who make an outstanding contribution to their school, community, district, or state organization. Mandy was singled out for her work to engage school nurses in Southwest Missouri in professional learning activities. She has worked this school year to connect school nurses from the region with opportunities to hear speakers on a variety of school nursing topics. Mandy is accompanied tonight by Director of Health Services Leanne Neal and Kickapoo's Principal Bill Powers. Leanne, would you please stand? Please join us in congratulating Mandy on her accomplishment. And it is now our privilege to present the 2024-2025 Teacher of the Year and finalists. Please come forward as I call your name. Betsy Cannella, Julie Burke, Alicia Johnson, and Laurie Macy. Last Friday, the Foundation for Springfield Public Schools hosted the annual Celebrate SPS banquet. This is always a wonderful event, and we appreciate the efforts of Natalie Murdoch and Tina Pham and the Foundation's staff and volunteers who work so hard to honor SPS employees. At the event, Betsy Cannella, an engineering teacher at Kickapoo High School, was named the 2024-2025 Teacher of the Year. Ms. Cannella started her career with SPS in August of 2008 and has taught gifted education, art, physical education, and science. She has also coached tennis, robotics, and softball. Let's congratulate Ms. Cannella. We also want to recognize the other teachers who were selected finalists for Teacher of the Year from more than 275 nominations. Julie Burke is a vocal music teacher at Fremont Elementary. Alicia Johnson is a first grade teacher at Twain Elementary. And Laurie Macy is a special education teacher at Pipkin Middle School. Congratulations to each of you, and thank you for being with us tonight and for being such outstanding examples of Team SPS. Thank you. For our MVP recognition, we are pleased to honor an outstanding administrative assistant as April's most valuable player. Her efforts to support our students, teachers, and families demonstrate the SPS United spirit every day. At the first point of contact for visitors at Weller Elementary School, our MVP establishes positive relationships and promotes a collaborative culture. She provides outstanding customer service and ensures organizational and financial efficiency, which directly support the district's strategic plan. Let's watch this video to learn more about MVP Carrie Toohey.
So I interact with mostly families and staff, welcoming people into Weller, and but also doing like the financial side of things for our entire building. Attendance is a big piece of what I do, and mainly making our families and kids feel welcome and loved when they walk in the door.
This is Carrie's first year as the administrative assistant here at Weller, and not only that, but it's her first experience within public schools. She joined us from the corporate world. Carrie has done such a wonderful job of being a welcoming person in the front office.
She has embraced the entire meaning of an administrative assistant. She is super passionate about what she does. She has formed wonderful relationships with the families and the students at that school, and she has embraced every single challenge that has come her way, and she's just doing an outstanding job.
I know how important it is as a parent. When you drop your child off, you want to make sure that this is a good, positive, safe place to be dropping my children. And so I just always have that in the back of my mind. People are entrusting us with their kids, and I just want to make it a very positive place where they feel welcome and loved.
On her hardest days, she still remains positive and understands why she's in that position. And it's for the students and for the staff and for the families that come into her office and her space.
Carrie does a great job of focusing on collaborative culture here at Weller by communicating with families. She is often the one to reach out regarding attendance or concerns that the family might have. She also is a point of contact for teachers and staff as well. So when they have concerns, when they need assistance, she is sometimes the first person that they go to, and she will do anything within her power to make sure that the needs are met.
I feel like there are so many people that deserve this over me, but I am honored and I feel appreciated, and I'm so glad to be here, and I love it here. I'm so glad to be here, and I love it here.
Carrie, please come forward so we can thank you for your contributions to SPS. Congratulations, Carrie. Finally, tonight, we have a special recognition to highlight National School Bus Driver Appreciation Day, which is today. We recently experienced an incident involving a safety threat to students on a bus. And that reminds us of the important role that all of our bus drivers play in keeping safe our students during their ride to and from school. Every day, we have more than 100 buses on the road, carrying an estimated 9,000 students. On April 3rd, when students on one of those buses were threatened, driver Alinda Osborne took action to protect them. Alinda, would you please come forward? When an unknown man forced his way onto her bus, Alinda remained calm. She followed her instincts and she put into practice the valuable training that she has received. She distracted the intruder, which allowed students to safely evacuate the bus and seek shelter nearby. Her calm and her intentional response in the face of personal danger kept the intruder at bay and prevented anyone from being physically harmed that day. Alinda, on behalf of the students, parents, and Team SPS, we would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to you. Thank you for your commitment to safety and to your dedication to each one of your students. I think it's especially noteworthy that Alinda was back driving her bus early the next morning because of her dedication and commitment to her work, and because she wanted to assure her students that she was okay and that they would be okay as well. And I think that's a beautiful example of who she is as a person and as a professional driver. Dr. Lathan and Ms. Kincaid, would you come forward for a photo and a special presentation? She does not like this recognition, but we're going to give her this recognition right now. I think we're good now. Get a photo if we can. Yeah, we can take one with the whole board. Let's do that. While Alinda handled the immediate response on the bus, there was a team of other employees who were also working behind the scenes to make sure that she and the students had the support they needed. Many of those team members are in the room today, and as I call their name, I ask them to please stand so we may thank them as well. I'm going to mention their names by department. We'll start with our transportation department. We have Keith Adams, Jamie Baldanita, Kim Brown, Sherry Dobbs, Jim Evans, Ronnie Floyd, Jerry Inman, Jessica Yesh Sanchez, Adam Van Beechler, Kim Vaughn, and Eric Williams, representing our transportation team. Let's give them a hand. Next, from the two schools that were involved, from Pershing K-8, we have Courtney Bendur, Joe Cooper, Lauren Parrish, Amy Rader, Officer Mark Sears, Brooke Shivers, Tommy Wells, and Renee Wise. From Pershing, any of them here tonight? We'll give them a round of applause. From Field Elementary, Janelle Bagwell and Amy Langvin. From Counseling Services, Jenny Datema, Allison Roffers, and Haley Swatzel. From School Police, Officer Rachel Boxberger, Officer Brian Cathy, Officer Carrie Dutcher, Officer Mike Etherly, Chief Jim Farrell, Officer Shelley Martin, and Lieutenant Rodney Williamson. And then from administration, we have Beth Englehart and Gary Tu. Please join us one more time as we thank Alinda and this amazing team of professionals. And with that, we will conclude our meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. That concludes our honoring excellence portion of our meeting this evening. And I'll give a little bit of time for people to clear the room here. We had a lot of excellence to honor this evening, and most evenings. Okay, that moves us to item 2.04, approval of the agenda. At this time, I will entertain a motion that the board approve the agenda as presented. Motion from Board Member Thomas Tate. Do I have a second? Second from our newest board member, Member Provance. At this time, we will vote. comment, or engage with the public during this meeting. The board allows for up to 10 speakers per public comment period. The board president will call on the individuals in the order in which they signed up. Substitutions are not permitted. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes and will be timed by our board secretary. Comments must be acceptable for a business and family-friendly environment. Inappropriate language, gestures, or personal attacks will not be tolerated. It's inappropriate to address the board about individual students or individual staff members by name in open meeting. If you have concerns about individuals, these concerns should be addressed through the appropriate administrative supervisors, either in the schools or the district office. If you have materials you'd like to share, please place them in the tray on the podium, and they will be distributed to the board members following the meeting. There'll be a timer on the screen to help keep track of how much time you have left. This evening we have 2 speakers. Our first speaker this evening is Dr. Mary Byrne.
Good evening. At the April 9, 2024 board meeting, a board member stated, "I feel that 7-0 votes is what the community wants us to display, a type of teamwork that we want to make sure that we move the agenda forward." This statement is frightening for several reasons. First, it implies the board's job is to quash dissent by preventing or discouraging differing or opposing views within the board. Quashing dissent to project unity is characteristic of a dictatorship. The reality is the community re-elected a board member who has a history of probing, challenging the status quo, and voicing dissent when problems must be addressed. Second, maintaining unity at the expense of truthfulness prevents board members from holding each other accountable when individual board members engage in questionable behavior. You should know Queen City Watchdog recently posted Ujima Language and Literacy's 2021 990 on Facebook. He also sent the 990 to the news media. The form does not support the narrative of a sitting board member as publicized in the media. Springfield community members have a right to expect the board to uphold standards of truthfulness and integrity without being accused of political motives. The board must investigate this matter and protect credibility of the entire board, even at the expense of appearing disunited. Finally, at the March 26, 2024 board meeting, it was disclosed that a vendor who is a member of the Springfield Chamber of Commerce, an organization where the SPS superintendent serves on the board of directors and that has endorsed sitting school board members in the past, is awarded a lucrative contract that has not been put out for competitive bid because it is considered a service. The board must take up the matter of this obvious conflict of interest. Any attempt by board leadership to chill or avoid discussion of this matter will compromise the board's reputation. Missouri's open meetings law requires that all discussions of school boards regarding all topics except the 24 topics enumerated in RSMO 160.021 take place in a public board meeting. Note that Attorney General Andrew Bailey filed a lawsuit against the Wentzville Board of Education when it closed public meeting deliberations exceeded permissible closed meeting exceptions. Paraphrasing Bailey's suit, it alleges that the board used attorney-client privilege to discuss personal positions on an issue not exempted in the law to escape public scrutiny by having the district's attorney present. Hopefully, as the SPS board discusses contentious topics, it does not commit the same violation, or I assume it can expect a similar suit. The lack of unity in this board is not caused by critical thinking of a dissenting board member, but by leadership's preventative repression, refusing to place items on the board agenda requested by the board member who is acting on behalf of community members whose concerns she represents. It's hypocritical of SPS to value critical thinking skills for students and not value critical thinking of board members. A 0-7 vote is not what the Springfield community expects. Respectful consideration of dissenting views for the betterment of student education at SPS is.
Thank you, Mary. Our second speaker this evening is Dr. Wes Zonker.
Good evening. As discipline continues to be a focus for teachers, administrators, and board members, I welcome the opportunity to share my decades of experience in dealing with student discipline and some of the things that I've learned through the years, 3 minutes at a time. Tonight, I want you to know I empathize with teachers and principals who are frustrated beyond measure with what seems to be an insurmountable problem. I have experienced that feeling. With 9 years of principal experience, I moved from Sequeota to Bowerman Elementary. The year was 1995. I assured the staff I had experience in dealing with almost any situation imaginable. The biggest difference would be the frequency and intensity. That was an understatement. Students were lined outside my office on a daily basis, all day long. Fights broke out almost every day, usually because someone was talking about my mama, and nobody talks about my mama. I remember telling my supervisor, it's a good thing I have 9 years of experience so I can deal with the challenges without having to learn how to be a principal. Or I would tell you, you could take this job and, well, you get the idea. Keep in mind, I had no assistant principal. I shared my nurse and counselor with other schools. Thank goodness for my wonderful secretaries. We were required to submit annual written goals to the central office. Mine was to survive. Literally, that's what I submitted. I was sure the lunchroom alone would do me in that first year. I half-jokingly said you needed waiters to enter the lunchroom. It was beyond overwhelming. I couldn't deal with everything at once, so I broke the problem down into smaller pieces of what I wanted to accomplish first, and I focused on that. I needed kids to get through the line without pushing and shoving, so I continually escorted students to the end of the lunch line saying, those boys and girls who keep their hands and feet to themselves get to go through the line first. I wish I had $1 for every time I said that, or I'd be a wealthy man. Eventually, the students learned the expectations. I believe teaching consequences, not severe punishments, bring about the best results over time. Building relationships is key. And when parents know you truly care about their kids, they will bend over backwards to support you. The first couple of years were rough, but over time, the lines outside my office were rare. Fights were infrequent and seldom because somebody said somebody was talking about my mama. And the lunchroom was still loud due to the acoustics, but orderly, and you no longer needed waiters to enter. I loved the Bowerman community, and I was privileged to be a part of it for 12 years until my retirement in 2007. I leave you with this again, if not public schools, then who? Who will teach them? Thank you.
Thank you, Wes. That concludes our public comment portion of our meeting. We'll now move on to the consent agenda items. I will entertain a motion that the board approve consent agenda items 4.01 through 4.04.
So moved.
Motion from Board Member Thomas Tate. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Was the error in the minutes corrected?
Yes, thank you. That the board approve consent agenda items 4.01 through 4.04 as amended. Yes, those corrections
Darn
were
it.
made. Thank you. So we have a motion from Board Member Thomas Tate and a second from Board Member Bruner. And at this time, we will vote. Okay, Executive Director of Operations, Mr. Dilday, will come to the podium.
Good evening. In your board package, you will find an outline for the Glendale Baseball Field Synthetic Turf Project. This will convert the infield and outfield from natural gas to synthetic turf, being able to be utilized for both soccer and football field practices along with baseball. The outfield will be marked appropriately for those practices. The administrative recommendation is to approve this project as presented. Any questions?
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the board? Yes, Board Member Mohammed Khani.
How are all the other turfs currently? Fields, pardon me.
Baseball fields? So
Right,
all of our
comparable.
football fields are turf, synthetic turf. Josh, can you help me with baseball fields?
So this is the only one that's not?
I believe that is correct.
Yes.
Yes.
All of our other baseball fields are infield turf only. Glendale High School is the only campus that we have that does not have a secondary grass field. So every time that there is a football practice, soccer practice is at 6:30. Every time there's a soccer game, practice for football has to be over by 3:30. So this was the option in the fall to not only have a backup softball field because we're plugging it for baseball and softball, but to have more practice opportunities for football and soccer and utilize the field all 4 seasons.
And it's common throughout.
That
many
went
school
right over
districts.
my head. So they share the same field for the various sports?
Yes, years and years and years ago, the soccer team used to play their soccer games in the outfield of the baseball field.
Oh, in
And
the outfield.
And the fence was put up in the outfield, which in the fall, we can't do that. So every soccer practice, every football practice, every track practice at Glendale High School is in the one facility. And we're overrun. And this will allow our turf on our stadium field to last longer because we're going to be able to disperse the amount of use of the field.
Okay, I'm just backtracking to what you said. So now instead of having one field, we'll have 2 fields for all the students and they're actually,
Yes, that will become.
At Glendale?
Yes, at Glendale High School. It will become a giant multi-purpose field.
okay, so you still have the stadium turf and now
Yes.
you're adding this?
Yes.
So okay, got it. Thank you.
There are other questions from board members? Okay. Seeing none, I will entertain a motion that the board approve the construction contract as presented. Motion from Board Member McCoskey. Do I have a second? Second from Board Member Provance. At this time, we will vote.
So in your packet, you'll also find a list of change orders and agreements for the bond projects. The total dollar amount for those projects is $361,988.08. Does anybody have any questions concerning change orders and agreements?
Thank you. And this was previously sent out to the board, of course. We've had an opportunity to review it. Are there any questions from board members at this time? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion that the board approve the change orders and agreements as presented.
So moved.
Motion from Board Member Thomas Tate. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, second from Board Member Muhammad Khani, and we will vote.
Away. Thursday, May 23rd is the last day, and it will be a full day of attendance for students. There is still time to submit nominations for the 2024 SPS Hall of Fame. If you know an outstanding graduate who deserves recognition, submit a nomination online at sps.org/Hall of Fame by Tuesday, April 30th. Graduation for the class of 2024 is about 3 weeks away. Ceremonies for all 5 high schools will be held on Saturday, May 18th at the Great Southern Bank Arena on MSU's campus. Studi Alternative High School will hold its graduation on Thursday, May 16th. Start times for each graduation and other important information is available at sps.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lathan. That moves us to item 8.01, our Missouri School Board Association delegate. So board policy BCCA requires the board to appoint 2 delegates for SPS. In addition, Springfield Public School also has an MSBA board member who serves. So we've got 1 board member on MSBA plus 2 delegates. The board member has a little bit more responsibility because you're on the MSBA Board of Directors. The delegates will attend should attend both the Summer Summit in Branson, Missouri in June, and then also the fall annual event that we go to in Kansas City. And the delegate is supposed to serve as the liaison between our board and MSBA. They'll attend the delegate assemblies in the summer. They'll participate in advocacy positions, serve as an advocate for public education through communication with elected officials, and share information between our board and MSBA. So again, our board policy requires the board to appoint 2 delegates plus an alternate, but it doesn't require us to appoint or select the board member for MSBA. But I've heard just in the past, I know Dr. Thomas Tate, you've brought it up before, Mr. Byrne, you've brought it up before, that perhaps the board would want to select the board member who will serve as the MSBA Board of Directors. So if we can get a general consensus, historically, president and vice president have just nominated somebody to the board, but I've heard from multiple board members that perhaps we should do a selection process just like we do the delegates. Is there any consensus one way or another?
I've expressed interest for several years to be the delegate to the board and or the representative for the MSB Board of Directors. I put my name out there for this year, recognizing that there are others who may be interested. I am not opposed to putting it up for a vote like we do everything else.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I would support that. A member has to have at least 2 years on the Board of Education in order to become part of the Board of Directors, and Sharia meets that qualification. So,
yes, good point. I apologize, Mrs. Provance. You're not eligible to serve on the MSBA Board of Directors. You do have to have 2 years of board experience for that. Is there any objection to the board collectively determining the MSBA board member and the 2 delegates? If there's no objection, then we'll just proceed with, other than Dr. Thomas Tate, is there any other board member who has an interest in serving on the MSBA Board of Directors for SPS? Okay. Do we want a formal vote?
Would it help to make a nomination?
Sure.
Then I'll nominate Dr. Thomas Tate.
Okay. We have a nomination from Mr. Byrne for Dr. Thomas Tate to serve as our MSBA Board of Directors representative. I have a second from Board Member McCoskey. Is there any further discussion before we take a formal vote? Okay, and we'll take a verbal vote. Is that correct? Okay, so we'll take a verbal vote. We'll start over here with Board Member Provance.
Aye.
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 And chair votes aye. So congratulations, Dr. Thomas Tate. You will serve for the next year as MSBA board member. She can vote for herself. Yes. Okay, that moves us to the 2 delegates. So as SPS, we also get 2 delegates to serve as MSBA delegates. Are there any board members who have an interest in serving as delegates to MSBA, or we can take a formal nomination?
I want to nominate somebody.
Who would you like to nominate?
I'd like to nominate Mr. Byrne. And can I say something to maybe twist your arm into it? I was writing some notes down. So you did such a great job of basically redoing the legislative platform so it's streamlined. And the next natural step for the board would be to move formally forward with an advocacy position. So as you know, I'm very interested in legislative matters, and I've tried to get the board to rally around something where we can support, cut the red tape for administrators, or somehow lessen the burden on the teachers, like with respect to testing and other things. And I think the better way for this board to be able to accomplish that is through an advocacy position. So the board comes together, we come up with something, we send it up the chain. And because you were so successful in getting us on one page with the legislative platform, I think that that's something that you would be really good at. But in order to understand how that process works, if you participated as a delegate, you would see how things work at the delegate assembly so that you know where you want to end up. And so you see the process.
Okay.
Will that work for you?
Okay.
Do we have a second?
I have a second on that.
We have a second. And do you accept that nomination?
If this board votes in favor of me doing that, then I'll accept that responsibility.
Okay, okay. And we do have 2 delegate positions, so are there any other board members who have an interest in serving as an MSBA delegate or any further nominations?
I nominate Judy Brunner.
I'll second that.
Okay, Ms. Bruner, do you accept that nomination?
I will, but I just completed my first year, so I don't know if I'm.
That's just for the
That's
board.
for the board, okay.
Mhm.
That's fine.
Yep, okay, okay. And again, any other nominations or board members who have a desire to serve? Okay, in the interest of formality, we'll take Kelly's nomination up first. I'll start over here again. So Board Member Provance. Yes.
Aye.
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 And chair votes aye. Congratulations, Board Member Byrne. And now we will take Board Member Bruner's nomination up.
Aye.
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 And chair votes aye. Technically speaking, we're also supposed to have an alternate. So just in the sake of following board policy, are there any board members who want to serve as an MSBA delegate alternate in the event that Board Member Bruner or Board Member Byrne cannot attend the delegate assembly?
I would nominate Dr. Mary Ann Mohammed Khani for that alternate.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I was gonna say, I'll second. Okay. Do you accept that nomination?
Sure.
Okay. Are there any other board members who are interested in serving as an alternate or any other nominations? Okay. And in the interest of formality, we will go ahead and take a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, she said aye.
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 And chair votes aye. Okay, congratulations, Dr. Mohammed Khani. And just as I was reviewing this board policy, we are supposed to do this at our annual organization meeting. So next year, let's just make sure that we're doing this at the annual organization meeting. That moves us to item 8.02, board comments. Are there any comments from board members this evening?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a statement regarding the Celebrate SPS, which I attended on Friday night. This is the 3rd or 4th time that I've had the privilege of attending that event. And I appreciate all of the supporters and people who helped to financially back that event, which is just a phenomenal event for our teachers who don't get celebrated enough. I leave there every single year inspired. As an educator myself, we don't often get the recognition and support for the good things that are happening in the district, and to hear the accomplishments and the heart and the passion and commitment of all of those who are nominated is just absolutely rewarding. There were awards for the Rookie of the Year, the Counselor of the Year, the Linda Luke Librarian of the Year, the Turner Reading Awards, and the Advocate for Education Award, along with the Teacher of the Year. It is just absolutely inspiring as you see tears of people who are committed to this in spite of the challenges that we face in public education, who have given their time, their resources, their money, everything to public education to make sure that their students are getting all that they need. And having that one night to celebrate all of those teachers and even those whose names aren't recognized is just an honor. And I thank you all for the work that you do as educators. Thank you.
I'll offer something, if I might. Thank you. I too had the opportunity to attend that evening at Celebrate SPS, and it was wonderful. And when I first heard that it was going to be on a Friday rather than a weekday, I thought, well, we'll see what happens there. But that room was filled with dedicated professional educators, community leaders, and just so many people here in our Springfield community that really do recognize that our public schools that our schools and our schools district is one of our greatest assets as a community, and it was certainly celebrated that evening, so that was great. I had the opportunity, I always say when anybody wants to listen what a privilege it is to serve on the Board of Education, and so recently I attended an interesting event hosted by the Missouri Department of Conservation and the Wolf Program over at Bass Pro. It was a great educational opportunity, not only for the students and the staff there, but also for me. They talked about careers in conservation. These agents talked about what they do. They had an emphasis on hunting and fishing and discovering nature and understanding wildlife, and just as importantly, conserving our resources, and I thought that was wonderful. I will tell you that I had an interesting opportunity to dine on rabbit and deer brats and crappie and venison sausage and beaver chili. Ooh. And I will tell you, it was all very tasty and very good, and it was prepared right there on site by conservation agents that were dedicating their time and skills so that our students could learn and then have good food. So, and then I want to bring up, and Board Member Mahad Makani and I talked about it, but neither of us said anything. When they talked about the improvements at the Glendale baseball field, I want to just point out that that is the Provence baseball field in honor of Board Member Susan Provance's father-in-law from many years ago. He was my driver's ed teacher, actually, and also a wonderful gentleman and professional educator and one heck of a coach. He coached a lot of things over the years, but one of his true claims to fame was the impact he made in the baseball program in our community, in particular at Glendale. Susan won't say anything because she's too humble to do that, but I can sing those praises. And then I just want to end, one of my very favorite educators, his name is Danny Steele, and if you ever follow anything on Twitter, his Twitter name is @SteeleThoughts. And this week he said something that I thought just really rang true. He said, the best teachers have three things in common. They are all about kids, they are relentless about getting better, and they bring good energy into their classroom. So that's true of all of our educators here in R12, and I thank each and every one of you. And I will tell you, and I've said it many times, an educator in R12 is not just the professional that goes into the classroom. It's the custodian, it's the food service employees, it's the bus drivers, it's everyone that contributes to the education and the opportunities for our kids. So thank you to all of you.
Thank you. There any further? Yep.
I would like to thank the board for all of their welcoming and helping me get my feet underneath me. I'd like to thank Dr. Latham and Nicole and Travis. I can't thank you enough for all the information that you gave me. So I had the opportunity to. You know, ladies go to bed early at night. So, Dr. Holt, I really appreciate you giving me that extra week before the test. So, the events that SPS held this week and everybody welcomed me, I really do appreciate that. So I want to thank you very much.
Okay. Any further board comments? Yeah.
So I've been asked by more than one board member about this idea of the comprehensive technology plan and just some general thoughts or ideas. So I thought maybe this would be a good way to respond to that. When we proposed this many months ago, I think I had suggested that maybe some sort of board discussion follow, so that we could all just kind of share just thoughts, visions, dreams, whatever, about what some things that could potentially be in this. Not a list of demands, more just a brainstorming list to help the people that are going to be compiling this information kind of get some understanding, since we ultimately would be voting on it, of kind of where there's consensus, and just kind of build from that, give them more information to set off to work with, and then come back with something so that we could, I guess, more accurately guide that process to its completion. I think there was a few board members that were concerned that that would be us overstepping our bounds or trying to do what the administration should be doing, so that idea didn't really get picked up. But now that a few months have gone by and we're getting close to when some sort of draft of this is expected, a few board members have asked me, well, what are your thoughts about that? Maybe that should be conveyed. So I guess I'll take a moment just in board comments here just to say I'm just one board member, and if other board members choose to chime in some thoughts in their own way, maybe that would be helpful, since we're not having a formal discussion on the topic. But I'm happy to just kind of say, if it were me to do this, these are some just general ideas or thoughts of what I might want to include into something, since this is a little bit revolutionary concept. I mean, there's not many examples of this locally or in the state that exist, but I think it's something that we can lead the way on. So I'll give it a crack. And again, this isn't me saying put these things in it. This is me saying, hey, take this and run with it, see what comes out of it. Ultimately, the board's going to vote on this in the product. So I think over the last few years, since Dr. Lathan's been here and since I've been on the board, we have already made some steps, I think, in the direction of technology, making some changes and some commitments, in particular around like Chromebook usage, and kind of changing how we do that in the elementary level, and then we extended that into the middle school level. Just folding in and putting in one place things that we've already done, I think would be a good start, just to communicate to the community, to the parents, to the teachers, what we have done, what we stand by, what we will continue to do. And then, in addition to that, some thoughts or ideas I had that I think, as this thing takes shape, are we have learning standards across other academic areas, Missouri learning standards that are given to us. And I think it would be reasonable if we were teaching technology, which, as I understand, we are. In the elementary grades, our students get tech time. They have teachers that they actually go and learn tech. But we don't have, I don't think, as well formulated or guided of learning standards like we would. We don't have Missouri learning standards around technology. Maybe that's an opportunity for us to put into writing some form of learning standards that are by grade and also by content. Like, for example, we could say, we could create, just like we have Missouri learning standards, but instead of having 1 million of them, we could have a few per grade. So say an example would be 4th grade, some sort of commitment to understanding the basics of keyboarding, by the end of that grade. And by establishing standards, I think we're also establishing measurable expectations. I mean, just like we do with grades or learning standards for other topics. And then 5th grade, we could have a learning standard around understanding the dangers of social media or online bullying or whatever it is. So we're talking digital citizenship areas. So as we look at all these sort of content areas that may include keyboarding, digital citizenship, how to use operating systems, how to use the Microsoft Office platform, coding, web design, appropriate social media use, those are sorts of things that I anticipate in one way or the other. We are thinking we are teaching kids, our students, this at some point, but compiling that all into a very intentional sort of plan and roadmap that we can communicate to our teachers and all the buildings and all of our parents, I guess, is an idea of something that I would be looking for. Some other things that could also be included in that plan would be our views of technology accessibility. That's something that we've already done a lot in regards to. Student privacy and what we commit to with that in regards to what information gets shared with online partners, or all these various resources that are digitally based that we use, what they're doing with that information that they have, or how they can access that, or how we protect those things. Potentially a cell phone policy would also be something that could be folded into this. So I just wanted to take a moment to share those things as potential ideas of what could take shape, and something that we use as a guide to kind of lay out our commitments to how we plan to use technology as a tool for the educational outcome, and also to be really intentional about how we are teaching our students to use this tool as they enter the, as they leave us and enter the real world, so to speak, and need to be well-versed in technology. This is our roadmap on how we are going to be intentional about equipping them and getting them there. So those are just some thoughts that I had.
Thank you, Kelly, for those thoughts regarding this technology plan. I think that those are most certainly things that can be achieved in a policy, and align very much with numerous educational associations out there who provide digital citizenship standards. Although they are not a part of the Missouri Learning Standards, there are some technology standards that are included in language arts, but I think there is also a definite space for us to have a clear document that outlines our goals and our values regarding technology that could easily align with some of the standards and guidelines that are currently available to educators through, like I said, numerous educational associations. So I think they align the things that you suggested align very nicely.
There are other board comments at this time?
Yes. So your words resonated with me, especially the part about how to use Microsoft Office platform. I know we have a board retreat coming up. Is there any, do we have like the agenda? I know some idea. I know that we're going to be receiving an update from Dr. Lathan. Is there any room for this discussion?
There will likely not be enough time
for
this discussion at the board retreat.
Okay. So that agenda's already been set?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Not to say that we can't have the discussion in the future, but at the board retreat, there's not going to be enough time. No. Okay. Other board comments?
Well, I guess I'd lost track of time a little bit. It is coming up to the end of the year. Maybe in planning whether we want to have a discussion on this topic is having an idea. Do we have an idea of when we're going to receive the update? Is it a ways away or right around the corner?
Yeah, it's June.
Oh, it is right around the corner. Okay.
Okay. Okay. All right. Just a few comments. I'm so glad that we were able to recognize the bus driver, who was incredibly brave, and certainly there was a lot of publicity around it, and she was a public hero. And I don't know about you, but I was shocked to see her stature, and that she was just a smaller individual, but still able to take that situation under control and protect the students. And I know that in addition to her public heroism, there's a lot of private heroes that happen and that are in our classrooms every single day that we don't get to celebrate. So know that the board also sees all those private heroes that are protecting our students every single day. And also thank you to the neighbors in that neighborhood who protected those students that day, and to the students for your bravery. I'm sorry you had to be so brave that day, but thank you for your bravery. And to our local prosecutors, I think you've got the full support of the board to prosecute that individual to the fullest extent of the law. And Elena, we'll be watching you to see your MSBA. I know that you've won the regional award. We'll be watching you at the statewide level, and we'll be rooting for you. And then also just to reiterate, celebrate SPS. I love going every single year. The passion of all the educators in that room, the supportive nature of all the schools is just amazing to see. And we are 1 month away from the end of the 2023-2024 school year. So, yay. With that, our upcoming meetings, it has logged me out. Hold on just a minute. Next week, we have our board retreat on April the 30th. And then in May, we will have a combined meeting on May 21st. And with that, it is time to adjourn the meeting. I will entertain a motion that the board adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Motion from Board Member Thomas Tate. Do I have a second? Second from Board Member Byrne, and we will vote. And the motion that the board adjourn the board meeting is approved 7-0. We'll see you next week.